Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Good morning. How are we?
We're doing good. How are you doing?
I'm making it. Ready for the weekend, ready for a good Friday, ready for some
Yeah,
spring, ready for the eclipse, ready for a lot of stuff.
ready for a lot of stuff. Ready for the weather to get warm again. I know we are here in Cincinnati. Yeah, and then we're all like right in the line of where this major eclipse is going to happen. We're supposed to have like 200,000 more people come into Cincinnati this weekend just for the eclipse.
Well, and you
Um,
have to go north a little bit, right?
well, they're saying we're good here. The prime spot is up in Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, but hey, it's gonna be good. We will enjoy the weekend and we will enjoy spring. And gosh, then summer's right around the corner. But hey, Michael, why don't you like tell our listeners as they're joining in today, why do we continue to do Experience Friday Live? We're almost 2 years into this,
Mm.
and what the benefit of it is.
Today, I think my head is thinking around experience doesn't have to be scary. I'm getting so tired of hearing from or hearing stories about leaders who want nothing to do with experience because they think it's fluffy, right? We get the rainbows and unicorn extra waste of time. And I want to reframe experience as you're already doing experience. The problem is that your experience sucks if you're not careful, right? So it's one of those things like you're doing it whether you know it or not, you're doing it whether you like it or not. You can either choose to do it well and benefit from it financially, in terms of retaining your team, making it a better place, making it easier for your recruiters, or you can let the experience happen in negative ways, and that's going to like take away from your customers, your bottom line, your everything. So it's happening anyway. Let's not make it a scary thing. Let's not be afraid of experience. Let's not like de-invest in experience. Let's pay attention to it, make it work for us.
I love it, Michael. I think that's a great segue. Today we're actually, we titled today a little different than we normally do, but we titled it, "Hey, can you hear me?"
Mm-hmm.
Creating meaningful customer interactions. And our guest today, Ty, is a communication expert, does communication coaching. So let me actually read a little bit about him. Ty Hoesgen is a communication coach, two-time best-selling author, and the founder of Advanced Growth Institute. Motivated by his struggles as a shy, awkward kid growing up on a farm, Ty has spent many years and thousands of hours learning everything there is to know about the world of communication. He now helps professionals communicate with confidence, charisma, and clarity, stronger leaders, and advance their careers. Let's welcome Ty to the stage.
Thanks, Shawn.
Hey,
Thanks,
buddy,
Michael.
you there?
I'm here. Great to be here. Thanks for having me. Great to be here. Thanks for having me. Looks like we lagged a little bit there, but we're back in business.
Yeah, that was weird. Great to have you here.
Yes, great to be here. Thanks again.
Is he still lagging?
How's
I think
that?
he is. So Ty, we always start with the question of why do you do what you do? And I love hearing everybody's different approaches to why they do what they do. So why? What's your why, and what keeps you going as you do your why?
Yeah, well, with communication, it's the only thing I'm really good at. But in all seriousness, communication, it's a skill that a lot of people just aren't taught. And if people can learn how to improve this skill, it can just radically increase the quality of their life personally and professionally. So mean, what motivates me is really seeing my clients learn and grow and develop on a weekly basis, watching them become more confident, more concise, skilled speakers. So that really fuels me to keep going week by week.
That's amazing. And I was going to ask you, actually, it was part of your bio. Uh, For instance, I technically am an expert in conflict navigation in terms of how I teach it. And it's one of the things that I enjoy the most. But I always start with, I'm not teaching you and working with you in conflict navigation because I'm great at it and I know how to do it and I'm done. I'm only teaching this because I'm not good at it and because I have to work at it and I know what it feels like when you don't know how to navigate that conflict. And I want to equip you with those skills as well. Do you find that with communication?
Yeah, 100%. I wish I could say that, I came out of the womb holding a microphone, just ready to talk.
Hmm.
And
And some
you're
people are, right? Like some
that
people just have
some
that
people
natural
are.
ability to read people and communicate.
Some people are for sure. And for those of us that are not, then it's always very hopeful to learn that, oh, these are actually just skills that any person can develop. And, myself, I was very much the shy, awkward, quiet kid, growing up on the farm, isolated from other people. The closest town that I actually lived to only had 800 total human beings there.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I spent a lot of time alone. It was actually by choice, but just avoiding people. I like to roam through the trees, break sticks. I was definitely that type of kid.
Mm,
And it's funny, I did have an older sister, but she would actually answer questions for me. She was the opposite, loved talking, very outgoing. So somebody would ask me a question when I was younger, and she would jump in and say, Ty thinks this. Oh, I
right?
I have an answer. I know what Ty thinks.
As
And
siblings
so
do.
exactly, as siblings tend to do. And I actually loved it. I loved that she did that when I was a kid because it meant I could talk less. And so that is something that's great when you're younger. But then if you flash forward to being an adult, it's pretty hard to avoid speaking, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
So at that point, when I became an adult, it became so apparent that, ooh, my communication skills were not at all where they should be. And I spent many hours even Googling, can I become successful without having to speak? And it
Hmm.
turns out, unless you're a tech genius or you invent something, it's really hard. It's very hard to do. So I eventually realized I had to learn how to become a better communicator. And really, that fueled an obsession with just learning everything that there is to know. And here we are today. Now I basically teach it the easy way because I've done all the stuff, I've learned all the ins and outs so that people don't have to learn it the hard way like I did.
And you probably have better empathy than a lot of other folks in the game because you understand if someone comes to you on the struggle bus, you understand what it feels like and know those steps for getting better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point. And what's interesting is that a lot of the people I work with, they're not like 20-year-old Ty and they can't ask somebody about their weekend. They're people that are they've already developed some communication skills where they've got to a pretty good point in their career, but then now they want to get to that next level in their career or their business, right? They want to speak like more of a leader, be more confident, be more concise, get more respect. And so it's actually a lot easier to go from good to great or great to excellent than it is starting from basically scratch. So no matter where you are at, though, it is a skill that anyone can learn. It's just a set of learned behaviors that any.
Makes sense. It makes sense. Well, we have a stoke that you have provided us with, and it's a quote from Warren Buffett. So let me read it. The one easy way to become worth 50% more than you are now, at least, is to hone your communication skills. So where does this quote come from in your world? Like, what is it about this that gets you stoked and can help others get stoked as well?
Well, first of all, Warren Buffett's words seem to hold a lot more weight than mine for whatever reason. So
Fair.
it's it gets me stoked because coming from really one of the most successful business people of our time and somebody that actually isn't even in any type of speaking space, purely in a investing space, but even in that world, he says that communication can be one of the most important skills anyone can have in business. And he actually did a public speaking course when he was younger, and he claims that that was the most important certification he ever got. So it stokes me up because Warren Buffett is universally respected and loved, and the words just hit harder coming from him.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think I'm back.
You
made it back. We missed you.
Yeah, hey, I don't know what was going on in my world over here, but at least it didn't quit the show and you guys are going on. And we're getting questions already coming in. So thanks for sharing that, Stoke, with us. Michael, what is your thought about that, Stoke? Because you and I talk a lot about communication.
I think there's a tie-in with experience there, right? Of if you invest in communication, you're really investing in your whole person, in your company, and getting better, right? When you invest in experience, it's the same thing. And how often does communication influence, affect, change someone's experience, right? So if from a customer service perspective, right? If I walk up and I am about ready to tear into that wall right there, and I'm ready to let the person have it who's standing in front of me, if they have the communication skills to diffuse me, and it only takes a sentence or two, all of a sudden I'm a different person, right? And if you look at that through the entire organizations that you work with, when does communication just accelerate the problem and amplify everything that's happening wrong? And when does it diffuse and make things much, much easier for everybody, lower stress, all those things? It's just kind of at the very core of who we are as humans, right?
Yeah, I love it. So we have never done this before, but Ty, you posted a video on LinkedIn a couple weeks ago, I think. And I think as we dive in to talk about why effective communication is so important, here's a perfect example of why we need to talk about it. So I'm going to play this video and then we're going to jump in. So hopefully let's hope this works.
Son.
He's going to be all right.
Oh,
thank God.
Finally, some good news
There's
from
no
this
other way
guy.
to take that.
That's a great attitude. I gotta tell you, if I was getting this news, I don't know that I'd take it this well.
But you said he was all right.
Yes, he's lost his left hand, so he's going to be all right.
You son of a bitch! I hate this doctor!
He's a very literal man.
Yes.
Let's just...
Come here. That's more the way I would take the news.
Oh, this guy again.
How is he, Doctor? It looks like he's dead.
Oh my God!
Oh, little guy. The tears aren't coming. The tears just aren't coming.
Just to be clear, it looks like he's dead or he is dead.
It just looks like he's dead. He's got like blue paint on him or something. But he's going to be fine. What is wrong with you?
Doctor!
So, Ty,
I guess it's okay to laugh at life and death in that skit, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to laugh.
Why is communication so important? And I know you have some tips for how you can effectively communicate. And it's funny because I'm watching some of the listeners on here, and I know a very good friend of ours, Dr. Todd, is on there. So I'm sure he's laughing about that particular video. But give us some of your tips, Ty, and how it relates and the employee experience and then how it ultimately can affect your customer experience, member, whatever it may be where you play.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for sharing that video. That video does a tremendous job of showing how important communication is in a lot of different settings, especially in a hospital. So the video cracks me up every time. In terms of tips, I have many, many, many tips. We'll do a couple quick ones here. Let's do a tip in each of the main areas of communication. So there's really three main areas. You got your voice, your body language, and your words. Okay, so we'll start with the voice. Something that everyone can do just to sound a bit more engaging, more interesting, and have it to be a better experience for everyone listening to you, try to add in a little bit of variance in your voice. So basically what that means is if we're talking about variance in terms of volume, you might get a little bit louder at times and then quieter at other times. If we're talking about variance in terms of your pace, you might speak a little bit faster at certain points and then slow down for the more important points. So if you do this, you're going to sound a lot more engaging. It's going to be easier for people to listen to. And especially if you're slowing down during the more important parts, the ones that you really want people to take in, to absorb, that's going to make your message a lot more powerful. So that's a tip with the voice. Now, before I move on to body language, I just highly recommend everyone record themselves, whether it's speaking about a random topic, whether it's something about work. Record your voice, listen to it back. You're going to pick up on so many little things that maybe you didn't know you're doing. And then now that'll give you sort of a map to, okay, I need to get better at this, could get better at this. Then at least you can start making progress. But if you don't know where you're starting from, because you never listen to yourself, you could be making mistakes for years and years and years and not even know it. So that would be your voice. In terms of body language, this is still a mistake that I see all the time in life, which is people closing themselves off. So if we're thinking about what's closed versus open, so let's say if I'm sitting here with my arms crossed, or maybe I'm just kind of hanging out with an arm here, maybe I'm kind of like this. This is closed, and for anyone that's just listening and maybe not watching, I'm crossing my arms, I'm putting my hands in front of my face, my body. So what this does is essentially you're putting up a barrier between you and the other person. So this makes it harder to connect because there's actually subconscious signals that get sent to the other person that you're a bit defensive, maybe you're a little bit, mistrusting of the other person. And it can also send signals that you're kind of uncomfortable, right? Because if we're trying to touch ourselves in some type of way, it shows that we're a little bit uncomfortable. So making sure your body language stays open, so just your arms at your sides, nothing in front of you. Visible hands is also very important, helps us build trust. It also sends signals of connection. So no hands in pockets. If you're trying to connect, if you really want to have a great interaction with somebody, just keeps your arms at your sides, keep your posture strong, nothing in front of your body. That's going to send the right signals so that you are connecting to the other person as much as possible. And it's also going to make you look a lot more confident. So there's lots of benefits just to keeping that body language open instead of closed. So that's our nonverbal. And then words was our third category. And so if we have to talk about a problem, kind of like the doctor did there, there's a framework that a lot of my clients really love for speaking about problems and the words to use. So this is called what, so what, now what. So with the what is the problem? What is the problem? It's just a objective description of what's going on. You're not giving opinions or you're not complaining, none of that stuff. Nobody wants to hear that. It's just what is going on. The so what, why is this important? So why does this actually matter? Why are you telling me this? This is an important step that a lot of people don't think about. And so if you're not saying the so what, why does this matter? Why should you care? People aren't really going to listen or they're not going to care as much. This is a very crucial step, is to say why the problem is important. Now, the third step in that is now what? So what are we going to do about this? If we just stop before the now what, well, we're still kind of just talking about a problem and we're not really giving a solution. So the now what is next steps. What can we do about this? How can we prevent this in the future? So if you follow what, so what, now what, you'll find that anytime you have to talk about a problem, you're going to get much better results because people actually understand you and things are always moving forward. So we got our 3 tips. We got a tip for voice, we've got a tip for body language, and we got a tip for words in terms of how we're explaining something.
I think you're muted there, Shawn.
Sorry, it's technical things. Said People are loving what you're telling us. Love the tip, love the framework. We do have a question for you. Do you believe that a good speaker is equal to a good communicator?
This is an excellent question. It's only a part of the puzzle. It's only a piece. Listening is just as important, if not more important, when it comes to communication. Do you know anyone that just talks a lot and you're having a conversation with them and they just don't really listen to you? Do you know anyone like that? We all probably are talking to those people sometimes. Now, do you think those people are good communicators? Not really. So this is such an important question, because making sure that you are listening with intention, going into a situation, not only thinking about how you're speaking, but how you're listening and going in with a focus to try to understand the other person. So really quick tip on this: instead of jumping in to respond, try to paraphrase back what the person said. And you can say, it sounds like whatever you thought you heard, right? So if you're trying to paraphrase and say, it sounds like, based on what you heard, it's going to be really hard to not listen, because if you're having to paraphrase, you can't just be thinking about what you're going to say and also be able to paraphrase what they're saying. So if you do this, if you focus on listening and understanding and paraphrasing, it's going to be a great way to make sure you're actually listening as well as speaking.
I love it. I think that's powerful. And people are loving these frameworks and all that you're giving to us today. And I know it's a little bit of a different show for us doing this, but it's kind of funny. Michael and I were sitting in a meeting yesterday where I only wish people knew how to communicate. Because we were going in circles around something, and it was like, if we just had that framework that you just gave, which I will go back and listen to even more, I think it could have helped a lot of pain that we went through yesterday, and wanting to drink a lot of bourbon by the time it was done. So I have a question for you that I think would be great to close out this show with, and a great tip for people. As a leader, all of us, Ty, you're a leader, Michael's a leader, I'm a leader. We've led people, we lead people. What is the one tip that you think is the most important to give leaders as they're leading people?
It's a good question.
It's a great question. There's a lot of things that come to mind. The first thing that comes to mind would be to focus on understanding them, which actually ties in perfectly to our listening point. Because I've had leaders that they command the stage, they own the room, they've got that executive presence, but I felt like they never took the time to actually understand me. And even in a conversation, I never really felt heard or valued because of it. So making sure that you take the time to understand everyone on your team, and giving them the time and the mental effort and energy to actually absorb what they're saying, respond thoughtfully. If you don't do that, people are going to feel like you don't care about them. But if you do take that time, they're really going to feel valued and heard and appreciated. And I think that's going to be a really, really big difference maker for any leader.
It's interesting in terms of really what you're saying is it comes down to a feeling, right? So you're creating a feeling when you're interacting with people, and it could go either way or multiple different ways, right? How do you want to, and then are you creating the feeling that you want to create, or are you wanting it but you're saying it and it's coming out wrong? And how do you reconcile all that, right?
Yeah, I love it, Ty. I think it's great. One last tip, one last thing that we didn't talk about today before we wrap up the show that you want to make sure that everyone hears as we're going through this.
Okay, do you want a voice tip, body language, or words?
You tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I got tips for days, so I'll pick one here. Well, I'll pick another really quick one that everyone just loves when I teach this to them. And so it's another way to explain something. And so it's another framework. People love the framework, so I'll give this one away really quick to close up. So it's called point, reason, point. So if somebody asks, what's your favorite movie? A person sometimes says, well, I like the comedies or the dramas and sometimes psychological thrillers like Shutter Island. I didn't mind that. And they're going in all sorts of different directions, right? So point, reason, point. If you were answering the same question, what's your favorite movie? Start with your point. So my favorite movie is Fight Club. Point. Reason is, why do you think that? It's my favorite movie because I like fight movies. I like movies that have a psychological element, and young Brad Pitt was an absolute beast. Restate the point at the end. That's why Fight Club is my favorite movie. So if you have frameworks like this to follow when you're thinking about what you're going to say, something to organize your thoughts and ideas when speaking, you'll find you're not getting off track as much, you're not rambling as much, you're sticking within something that's very clear and concise. So that's point, reason, point.
That is a great tip. I actually put it in the comments so people could have it. Point, reason, point. Michael, we may need to remember that in some of our conversations coming up. Maybe more around Michael using that on me. Shawn, what's your point around this? So, well, Ty, great to have you on here. Had great response to this. Thank you for giving us some great tips, some great frameworks. Where's the best place for people to find you, Ty, if they want to get some communication coaching?
Definitely. So anyone can send me a message on LinkedIn or Instagram, whichever one you use most. And then I also have a free video training on how to show up better for video calls. And if you'd like that, that's at videocallstar.com.
Videocallstar.com. Awesome.
Yes.
Yes. And if you can't find Ty on LinkedIn, send me a DM. We're friends. We got it. Thank you, Ty. If you will hang out for a little bit, Michael and I will close up the show, and then we'll come say goodbye to you.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks. All right, Michael, what's the rest of your day look like?
Well, I did save some Friday afternoon errands, so that's good. And end of the week communications, and hopefully taking a walk, but we will see. Looking forward to some good basketball tonight.
Yeah.
That's what we're really counting down to.
Yes. So just for everybody, our next one's 3 weeks from today, and it is with Pete Hunt, Creating Enduring Legacies. And if you were with us on our last show 3 weeks ago, Pete was supposed to have been here today, had a conflict, and so very thankful for Ty jumping in and giving us those great communication tips for our listeners today. It's been a great episode. Michael, enjoy the weather, enjoy the walk, get through the Final Four the next 3 days, solar, the eclipse. We got all kinds of things happening. So have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later, my friend.
All right. We'll see you.
Aha.